94 Rocks The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark, and this is a band that's no stranger to The Dark. In fact, they played our third annual End of Summer Bash, even during the big worldwide pandemic. On the phone tonight, I've got Eric Boatright, the lead singer of Shallow Side. Eric, it is great to hear your voice. How are you doing?
Yeah, we are here. We are past all the COVID stuff, or at least I guess the pandemic is fully opened. But I think for the two of us, I don't think we ever really slowed down. So we were fortunate to keep the rock and roll rolling, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're continuing the movement, still going strong, still pushing, still making everything happen.
That is awesome. Yeah, let's talk about, obviously, you came up here in September of 2020. The world at that time was crazy. I know things change in the industry and that, but I guess how did it change for you guys from the pandemic moving on?
Well, for us, we were on tour somewhere around like 200 dates out of the year, and we were doing that consecutively, probably like 5 and 6 years in a row. And constantly just on the road, man. We were warriors out there, just banging around, rubbing elbows with the most greasy and grotesque parts of the industry. And as soon as that shut down, it literally killed off. I mean, so many bands, so many musicians, so many venues, bars. The owners of those places kind of threw their hands up and walked away. We watched probably, I'd say 15, maybe even 20% of the bottom line of the industry just literally couldn't float anymore, and they just sunk. And I, for one, was terrified at that moment because I've never had anything else, man. I grew up in a trailer park without anything at all. So when they was like, now we're going to take everything that you've ever had and take it away from you, and I was like, all right, well, your pockets are going to be pretty empty, buddy. I don't know if you guys are taking nothing away from me. I'm just going to keep canoeing up this river without my paddle because that's how I've been living. And I was noticing friends and venues and bars, and they were falling off left and right. And they were like, "How are you guys doing?" And I'm like, I don't know how anything is doing anymore. I just know that we're surviving. And as soon as we saw that thing kind of like flake off and the dust kind of settled and everyone was looking around, I noticed that, like, man, there was a handful of bands that are just not out there anymore and not doing anything anymore. A lot of artists not even trying to pursue a music career anymore, and a lot of the bars and venues that so many people were a part of, it's a yearly Halloween store now. That's what those places are.
Yeah. And you mentioned, obviously, you guys did so much extensive touring, and that's really how you kind of build your brand. And when all of a sudden you have a pandemic happen that stops that, it stops everything. How much more? You guys had a lot of momentum going up until the pandemic, and then you just pretty much shut everything down. How hard was it to kind of start that momentum up again?
This is how strong the ball was in our court. We rolled up to 2 different major record labels in America, and I'm not going to name their names because I don't want to like throw anybody under the bus. But they tossed us out a deal that, and I can name a few of the artists that took the deal that, in my opinion, was a terrible deal. Listen, I, again, grew up in the trailer park, so like hustling was a part of my everyday in order to get the meals that we were going to get. I needed to steal it half the time and borrow it on the other half. So when those deals started coming across our table, and this is pre-pandemic era, I was looking around like, guys, this is not a good deal at all. I looked at them and told them, like, hey, listen, I'm not trying to be a jackass, but for us, this is not going to work in this direction. We're going to have to, politely decline these offers. And they were decent offers. I wouldn't say that they were career enders, but they were definitely not in our benefit, and it could have. It was going to benefit everyone else a lot more than it would be the working part of the system. So we bowed out, shook our hands, and left there with the mindset of like, listen, we don't really need that. That's not really what we're looking for. We have a team here that we can, coast on and do great with, and that's exactly what was going on and happening and continuing to. And man, just I don't even know what it was. Deviant intervention, not divine intervention, more deviant intervention came through and just shut down the world. They was like, no more. And I was looking around like, dang, that deal could have been decent. Now that we're not allowed to move our feet at all. So seeing that whole thing play out, swirl around, and we were looking around like, what are we supposed to do? And we did the same thing that we thought that we were going to need to do in the first place, is put our backpacks on, shove all the stuff down in it that we know of, strap up, get ready to get back to work. And that's exactly what we did do. The world started opening back up, and we went from 200 shows a year down to like 50, 40 shows in a year. And then as it started opening back up, we started to expand that world a lot more. And we kind of took the approach that we were going to work a lot more in the content sector than we were going to be the live show sector. So that has been our approach to making amends to a world that had changed so dramatically, so quickly. That's where our movement is now versus where it was.
We're talking with Eric Boatright, the lead singer of Shallow Side. He's got a new song out. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But let me ask you, since the pandemic happened, and I would actually say that rock radio was kind of confused, maybe going into the pandemic and even during the pandemic. But coming out on the other side of the pandemic, it seems like rock radio is starting to embrace and help up-and-coming artists. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I definitely do, absolutely, and all the way across the board too. As soon as all of the platforms that were allowing music to be just overly distributed to everyone everywhere, you had this golden little nugget over there that just, man, it in my opinion, it is the allowance of certification. When everyone and their brother can put a piece of audio together and slap it onto one of those streaming platforms, whether it's incredible or it sounds like absolute poop, it's there and it's available for everyone. But once that little booger slaps up on the radio station and everyone's tuning in and you got the DJs talking about it and you got these interviews coming through, that's where the stamp of approval comes through, man. And like, I hear a lot of people saying all the time, like, man, rock and roll just ain't doing nothing no more. It ain't doing it. But like, what's not surviving is the radio industry on that side of the world. Our side of the world and rock and roll, man, this place is built to withstand the test of time. And I have to thank the people that listen to it and the people just like you that put it on and make it worthwhile. Give the people what they're looking for, instead of just, begrudgingly, shoving down music down the throats of people that came from these major record labels. Now everyone seems to be getting a hot shot at getting some quality back into the world and fresh back into the world of rock and roll.
Now, you mentioned fresh, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. I'll age myself. I'm in my early 50s. Obviously, I'm a product of the 80s, the hair bands, even kind of getting into the grunge side of things. But even that kind of, after a while, you listen to that music for a long time, and you're kind of, after a while, just a little bit bored, looking for something new. And so I would actually say it might not even be the younger generation that's listening to the rock music, but it might be my generation, the older generation, the 40s to 60s, that are really starting to gravitate towards the new music. Are you seeing a lot of that when you're out on shows?
Yeah, we see a good bit of the older generation like coming in and being a part, because those are the ticket buyers. You know what I mean? Like people that are just getting out of high school, people that are in college, like they're buying tickets for themselves for the first time. So like, what are they going to try to look for? They're going to be looking for something that maybe all of these type people are going to see. And You can go and see JoJo Siwa all you want to, because that's what they grew up with. But once you get to the show and you're like, man, this really sucks. Can we find real musicians? Boom, there they go. Now we found a 22-year-old, a 25-year-old who wants some real music. So they're looking for a distortion guitar with some banging drums and some mean bass that's going to, blister their face. That's where the change happens. But there's not a change that comes with that when you get into the 40s, 50s, and even some of the 60-year-olds, because they grew up with the face melters. They had the Van Halen. You know what I mean? Who do we got in the group now that's looking around like, bro, that's the Van Halen right there? I mean, we got his son. We're blessed to have that, and that's new on the scene. So you're totally right, man. Like a lot of the dudes and the ladies that have been into rock and roll for a long time, they're switching gears, not so much to go away from the realm of Aerosmith or Metallica, if you will, not to run away from those worlds. Those are staples in our community. But now we're looking for, who is that? What are they doing? Is that going to bring me back to my youth? Do they really got the chops? So you're seeing these people who, in my opinion, educated music listeners, and they're like, okay, these people can pass the bar. We're going to get them to the next level. We're going to move them up the bar. And you're just not seeing that in the world of pop music and hip-hop music. Those people they're drowning left and right because there's no talent.
I totally agree. I think it was very well said that you said, Eric. Let's talk about the song, I think, that kind of puts you back on the map a little bit. You're the Reason. We spun it a lot here on 94 Rocks. I think it also charted on the Active Rock Media Base. Talk about that song a little bit.
You're the Reason came out, and it was actually the first song that we wrote off of this brand new collection of songs that will be out in July of this year. We sat down and we wrote that song with Chris Dawson, and we were wrapping up the song, got it done, listened to it, and I looked over at Chris and I was like, that's our producer, and I was like, man, if we can do about 9 or 10 more of these, I think we'll have a little bit more work on our hands. We can really jump this thing off and get a full-length album back for Shoutside, because before that, right, with the pandemic and everything, we sat down and did some classic rock covers. Mm-hmm. And those classic rock covers, they were great. It was what everybody was like, kind of looking forward to and shooting for while they were sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. And then now that the world got back into place, it was our time to say, okay, we're not a cover band, we're an original band, and we always have been. And the reason why we continue to do this is because of you. It's the reason why I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't make things work for me anymore. I am drowning unless we have this. And that's where that song came from.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that song. And now you've got a brand new song you're spinning here on Rock Radio, and getting a little help from a guy that knows a thing or two about rock, that being Elias Sariano from Nonpoint. The song is called Filters. How did that all come about? How did you guys get together?
We were writing that song in the midst of preparing this new album. We were in Nashville with a friend of ours, Kyle Odell, great producer, and he was putting together some music. We were writing, getting everything together. We finished this song, and I named it Filters. I was like, this is going to be good. The guys always name the song something absolutely crazy, and we can't really say it on the radio. It's not going to be good for anyone to hear this type of stuff that the guys talk about in what can only be considered as a studio locker room, right? So we named this thing Filters, and the song's finished. And it has this bridge piece, and it's just dun 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 dun, and it just opens up. It's just so wide open, and I'm like, listen, I don't want to put something here. I feel like it's great. I have evolved into this song as much as I possibly can, but I don't think we're going to be able to finish it because it's just missing something. There's just something not there. So we're listening to it. We're running it back. We're months go down the line, and we're traveling on the road, and we pop this thing back in. Sam and I, our bass player and piano player, and incredible musician, we're chatting back and forth, and we're looking around, and we're like, man, you know whose voice would be absolutely delicious right here? Elias. And Sam goes, Non-Point? And I said, exactly. Mm-hmm. And he goes, do you think he would do it? And I was like, I don't know, because before this, we had only played a couple of shows with them, right? And this was a live show moment that we had been on the road or been in a festival, and I watched one of their sets, and just his delivery, the way that he punches, the way that he can maneuver through a melody. I was like, man, if we could get him on the track, I feel like we could complete it up. And Sam was like, just hit him up. And I'm looking over like, okay, we would call him? I didn't even have his number. Like, what are we going to do? And he was like, dude, just write him on Instagram. And I'm like, man, you're going to make me feel like an absolute floozy out here. I'm going to just like offering up some boobs for this guy. What do you want me to do? And he goes, I tell you what, just hit him up with complete honesty. Mm-hmm. So I wrote him. I sent him the song. I was like, bro, check it out. If you don't enjoy it, if your heart's not into it, if this is something that you find to be nonsense, just don't even reply. Just leave me right on red, and I'm going to understand every bit of it. You don't even got to bother. He sends me back a piece of audio, and I was like, okay, listen, I'm going to go send this to everyone, and then I'm coming right back. And then we hung out. We did the music video, and it turns out Elias is probably one of the coolest rock stars in the industry right now. Guy is level-headed, business-minded. He's got the etiquette, everything from the spectrum from left and right. And he's been in the industry successfully for 20-plus years. So right. The guy has battle scars and medals that most will never even know exist. Man. And that guy, he has a general's outfit on, and he wears it so well. So we were blessed to have him on the track. Jumped in, locked it down, knocked it out. Now Filters has been released, and it's looking good on our part.
That is awesome. Yeah, you mentioned Elias. Yeah, he is, and that band Non-Point. They're kind of an underground band, maybe not as huge on rock radio, but they have a huge fan. It kind of reminded me of LJ and Seven Dust, kind of the same realm of people in the sense of a band that's got a huge tour audience. Maybe they don't get as much airplay, but yeah, they're great. The question I got to ask you though: did you get his phone number now?
Oh, yeah. We swapped our OnlyFans accounts, and now we work together on a lot of stuff. No, just kidding. Yeah, no, we keep back and forth, man. He's a great friend. Right. He's a great person to have alongside you, because he's been doing it for so long, man. That like he's on the cutting edge of so much stuff, and it is crazy to me, and it is kind of mind blowing to me, because sometimes I'll even say like, we got a feature with the singer of Non-Point, and people will be like, who's Non-Point? And I'm like, okay, well, we're definitely not on the same level of friendships here, because you don't even know this stuff. But you're totally right about that. They don't necessarily have that huge, I guess, visual stimulation that comes from bands like commercial.
They're not commercial.
Yeah, best way to put it. But then you watch them on stage, and you're like, wow, this is by far way better than the commercial successful bands that we've played with before. What in the world is this about? Mm-hmm. And I think it all just stems from a lot of those major labels being terrified to compete with people like that, people like Elias, people like Lejean, people that can't be put into a tight rope or a cage or be told that this is how it has to be, because these dudes are trendsetters. These guys are, they're creating new wheels every day for music, for rock and metal alike.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, before we came on with this interview tonight, we just debuted the brand new song from Non-Point called Underdog. So a really cool track from those guys.
Yeah, another one, another great song by them. So
Absolutely.
now, them and us, we're going to be competing in the charts. So I already deleted their numbers and let them know that competition is competition.
Well, what you might have to
I'm
do
kidding.
now is you send him my number, and then we'll talk to Elias next week, and then we'll have a competition to see which song does the best here on 94 Rock. Sound good?
That's what we should do. That's what we should do. We should do a little friendly competition, a little not. But I'm gonna be honest. We're gonna need about a week head start because they got about 20 years on us. So we're gonna need a little prep.
All right, we got to get going here. We could talk forever, but you said new album's going to be dropping in July and maybe a tour in the fall. What can you tell me about both? Because I know you're kind of tight-lipped on those things.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, man, they don't tell me a whole bunch about dates and timings to put things out. I got a loud mouth, and I also like to pat the backs of everyone that I work with. Man, so we got so many hardworking people and dedicated humans in our camp that like they just deserve the amount that is, in my opinion, that's not given yet. And we're going to get there. And it's an upward motion, but the music that we have coming out right now is a lot darker from what you've heard from Shallow Side before. It's a lot. It's a lot. We're playing a lot of different tunings, which I know for a lot of listeners, they're like, "What does that even mean?" The songs just become a lot darker, a lot more aggressive, and there's a tone to the album that comes with a personal relationship that I've been struggling with myself for a hot minute. There's mental issues that we all go through. I have two kids now. When we started this band, I had none, and I had no ambitions of even having a family. I never had one, so I was like a lone wolf. And now I'm in the state of mind of, am I? Am I not? Existing in itself is such a strange event, such a strange phenomenon that staring into a mirror for long enough will make you feel weird. And that's where this album kind of takes place for Shallow Side.
Awesome. You know, Eric, it's great to catch up with you. We got to do this a little bit sooner than 4 years, okay?
Hey, I'm ready when you are. We'll make a weekly segment out here.
Well, I've got your number now, so if I need to call you sometime again, I can do so.
You got it, brother.
Hey, thanks so much for joining me. I wish you the best on the new album, obviously the fall tour, and we're going to spin your latest song with Elias Filters right now. You okay with that?
Absolutely, man. Thank you for letting us be here, and we're looking forward to coming back to y'all's neck of the woods soon.
That would be great. Once again, that is the lead singer from the band Shallow Side. That is Eric Boatright. Their latest song featuring Elias Sariano of Nonpoint is Filters. You're hearing it right now. It's on the dark. It's 94 Rocks.